Today's video is not about big setups or heavy editing. It's just me, my sketchpad, my gouache, and a chance to hang out with you and paint together. Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about how these paintings came about, and I'll ask you some questions so you can share your thoughts in the comments. But honestly, I really appreciate you guys being here, and that just makes me happy. So let's just paint and chill together. Welcome and welcome back. This is Arts of the Round Table, or ORT for short. My name is Mello, and I'm establishing here a space where we can sit, relax, create, and learn together. Whether it's painting and sketching or just talking around the table. So I'm really glad you're here. Before I start painting, I wanted to touch briefly on those sketches. It's from an exercise that I do called 4 circles, 4 faces. And I'll share that exercise with you guys in a later video. But it's what I use to practice my fundamentals without the aid of references. And if you enjoy drawing and painting faces as much as I do, this might be something that helps you. It has been about 20 months as of this recording that I've started using gouache. And it has placed me in a constant state of surprise and frustration. It is a beautiful challenge. And I think I've done close to 100 paintings, I think. And honestly, I still feel like I'm barely scratching the surface. Have you ever had that? You've been working with something for a while, and you should feel like you've gotten it locked in, or at least comfortable in it, but instead it's like, no, you're really just getting started. And what is that thing for you guys? It could be art, it could be anything, music, cooking, any other hobby. And for me, gouache is tricky, or it has been tricky, because one day it feels like the most forgiving medium. I can lift it, I can layer it, I can rework it. The things that I'm putting down make sense. And then the next day, it's like, nope, nothing. Everything dries patchy, it doesn't blend, things start lifting up, it's muddy, it doesn't behave. And I think I may have chucked close to 20 or 30 paintings. But I think that's why I keep coming back. It keeps me on my toes. I don't get to coast. Every painting feels like I'm learning again. So I'm curious, what's your version of that? What's the thing that you've spent hours on, but it still humbles you every time you sit down to do it? So here's the thing. I didn't paint these sketches the day I made them. I didn't even end up painting them the way I'm showing you now. Spoiler alert. I actually did these sketches out of pure frustration. The day was what I felt a complete unproductive loss. Time flew by, and I just felt I hadn't caught up with anything. So I grabbed I turned everything off. I grabbed my sketchbook and a pencil, and I just sat down away from everything, determined to do something. I needed to do something. I think the TV was on. I was pretending to watch. It was just noise. My amazing wife, sitting next to me, I think she was quietly reading the Bible as she does, totally calm and peaceful. And there I was, just scribbling away, and I decided to do something I used to do a lot, and I haven't done in a bit, the 4 circles, 4 faces exercise. And just as simple as that is, it's 4 circles on the page, 4 faces, each facing a different direction. It's a simple drill, but it's muscle memory for me. It's something I've done a million times, and it's something that I would do when to pass the time and when to just kind of let the mind wander. And by the time I was done, I actually enjoyed doing them. It was only then that I decided to paint them. I usually chuck these. Sadly, saying that out loud, sadly, I usually chuck these. But by the time I was done, catharsis set in, and I thought, I'm going to keep this momentum going. I'm going to paint these the next chance I get, which was for her anyway, the very next day. And I tried to keep it as simple as possible, messing around a little with the palette, trying to different mixes, but keeping the skin tone warm, except for the hair, which is a cold blue, and then using that green for her raiment was probably the only risk that I took. but really, no expectations. I was just experimenting, wanting to feel some accomplishment for painting and practicing, and that's pretty much it. But I don't want to dismiss it. I really like it in its simplicity. I swear it's given back to me, I feel, more than I did it. And now for the second one, the jester-like face in profile. With this one, I really wanted to test myself a bit. Remember I told you that I didn't paint these in order. This was actually the last one I did, and 2 or 3 days after the initial sketching. I was a bit more confident and daring. I wanted to push the expression, push the form, and see how far I can take it. As I paint, I want to go back to the evening that I sketched this. Yes, I was in a state of frustration. Yes, there was a cathartic ending as well, but I'm an emotional artist. So I'll ask you this before I continue. Creatives, do your feelings dictate the kind of work that you're making? Does it affect what you draw, what you paint, the type of music you make, your food? Does it affect your colors, the mood of your palette? Because for me, this jester was what I was feeling the night that I sketched it. That expression, that breathless, almost dry heaving kind of frustration of having so much you want to do and yet nothing seems to come out, just agony and spittle. Yes, it is a bit dramatic, but that's the cartoonist in me. That's why it has the most detail. That's why it's the biggest on the page, on scale. So when it came down to paint it, although I wasn't feeling those things anymore, I wanted to make sure that I didn't forget where the drawing was born from. The best thing about this one was not having any reference to fall back on. It was just me and whatever was in my head. And that's why I love it so much. It was all experimental and I was all in. Being the third one in this little series of paintings, I had the most confidence at the time, and that kind of shows in the painting. But here's the best part. This is the best part for me. In hindsight, these weren't for anybody. They were just a sheet of paper with some drawings on them that on any other day I would have torn them out and thrown them away. But instead I wanted to share them because in the last few paintings and videos that I've presented, these may well be the truest interpretations of me and what I have been feeling. Yeesh. That went a lot deeper than I expected. That was the reason why I shared it. Let's just keep going with the painting, shall we? So I kept the same color palette as before. I just leaned in more on the cool side, so you'll see more blues and grays. I kept the warm stuff, the browns and the reds, higher up near his forehead, and his tongue was the only thing that I wanted to have pop that showed redness at all. But honestly, I just wanted to make this thing look gritty. This one was so fun to do. I had so much fun painting this one. I really did. And now for the final piece, the painting. This was actually the second one I did during this exercise, but I wanted to place it here because it belongs with the others. It was born straight out of those sketches. And I pulled so much inspiration from the very first painting that it just made sense to keep them all together. But more importantly, this one represents a shift in me spiritually. Being able to pour my anxieties and feelings onto a page is truly a blessing, I believe, from God. And when I painted this piece titled Evening Soak, I don't think I've ever felt more calm in my art process. It's almost like the weight came off my shoulders while I was painting. And what was left was this moment of stillness, of peace. This one feels special, not just because of how it looks, but because of what it did to me. And I want to throw this out there at the table. Have you guys ever felt or ever had that moment while drawing, painting, or even journaling, where the act itself brought you peace? Where by the end of it, you felt lighter than when you started? If you can, share that experience with us. Put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear what that was. I want to share the actual experience I had painting this picture because it's tied to the feeling behind it. It was late in the evening. The first time maybe ever that I painted well into midnight. My oldest son was working a late shift and I knew I'd be picking him up after about 1 a.m. So I just leaned into the quiet. My studio, where I do my work, was mostly dark. Only my halo light above me, maybe a little desk lamp, I think, had off the side. I had some music playing, soft music. And for once, everything in the house just felt still. It turned out to be one of the calmest painting sessions I've ever had. And it felt like it fit the subject matter perfectly. I don't normally do that. I don't normally paint at night. Any of you guys do any creative stuff at night? Are you guys night owls? I'm more of a midday, early morning, midday type of guy now that as I'm looking for work. But yeah, man, that was such a really cool experience. And what makes this painting really stand out to me is that it was actually the second painting done between these two practice pieces. But it carried a different energy altogether. That night I felt comfortable. I hadn't done anything creative throughout the day. Almost like instinctively knew not to push or risk feeling tired or burnt out later. It just felt natural to wait. And when the evening came, it also felt natural to sit in that ambient quiet and let it happen. This painting that I call Evening Soak came out of that rhythm. The colors, the textures, the calmness, all of it flowed easier because I wasn't forcing anything. It was like the piece was already there waiting for me to slow down and to bring it out. On the surface, it's a portrait of a beautiful woman in a bathhouse. But for me, it became something deeper. The inspiration came while reading the Bible, and it carried into my painting. I started to see this piece not just as water and light, but as a symbol of what it means to be completely embraced in God's presence. To be washed, renewed, dirt, sin, bad thoughts all lifted away. To be cleansed by His word, His promises, and His love. And what's amazing is just a day or so before I painted this, I had been sketching a stressed out figure while I was slumped on my living room couch that came from a place of frustration. And there it is, you guys. Evening Soak. Listen, I know this was a little different than what I'm usually putting out there. And I want to thank you for being here and watching with me. I hope you enjoyed this first paint and chill session. Hopefully there'll be more like this in the future. Let me know what you think. If this is something that you'd like to see more of, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear your feedback. But until then, I'll see you all in the next one. Be creative. God bless you. This is Arts of the Round Table. My name is Mello, and as always, I'll draw you later. Bye-bye.